Bienvenidos. Welcome to VMworld 2012 Tech Talks, powered by V Brown Bag. We're going to get started today with our first Tech Talk with Jonas. Jonas, you're going to talk a little bit about some automation with Puppet and Razor.
Yep.
I'm kind of excited about that. So
Good.
I'm going to get out of the way and let you get started. Thanks everybody that's joining in online. As always, we are recording, and since this is our first Tech Talk of the day, you get to start us off right.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Jonas Ruslam. I'm a V specialist from EMC, and I'm here today to talk to you about operating system and application automated deployment using tools like Puppet and Razor. So how many here have heard about Puppet and Razor before? Lots of people. Like it. Good. For those not aware about what Puppet is all about, Puppet is an IT automation software that can help you as a system administrator or your system administrators to manage your infrastructure throughout the entire life cycle. And manage the infrastructure, we're talking about managing applications, managing configurations, managing patch management, for instance. But also compliance. You might be needing to adhere to some compliance rules, and you can easily do that using Puppet. So Puppet is a creation from a company called Puppet Labs, and Puppet is available in two different versions, both the open source free version and an enterprise version. What I will be showing you today, because I will try to do some live demos as well, is the open source version. So Puppet is also highly scalable, and just to show you how highly scalable this is, I want to show you some of the customers that are actually using Puppet for managing their application lifecycle. So first off, we have Wikimedia, the founders of Wikipedia and other websites like that. They are actually using Puppet, and Puppet configurations can be kind of hard to get started with if you're not used to it. So Wikimedia, as with all their information out there, is publicly available. Wikimedia's Puppet configuration is widely available. You can just look at all their configuration files, all their configuration functions, all their modules and everything within Puppet. So that's really, really nice of them. A couple of other companies that are using Puppet are Google, for instance. They are managing more than 50,000 systems using Puppet. We got Zynga, who's Facebook gaming. They're managing tens of thousands of servers as well. And I am managing tens of servers back home, so it's a lot easier for me now to actually do what I want to do with my home lab. So you don't have to be a giant corporation to actually use this and get benefits from it. Even if you're a small user or a small company, this definitely will help you. So Puppet has a couple of functions built into it, and the circle you see here in the presentation, the first part of a Puppet configuration or a Puppet lifecycle management part is the definition of a function. So we define a function for an application. Let's say we define a web server application. When we do that, we define how the web server application should be installed and configured. Let's say Apache, for instance. So we define that we want the package Apache installed, we want PHP installed, and maybe some other tools as well, and maybe a homegrown application together with that web server. What is really cool about Puppet is that we can simulate the functions, simulate the actual deployment of this package before we actually do it. So we simulate and verify that all the configurations, all the installations, and the entire deployment process is actually working. And if the simulation goes correct, well, then we can enforce it. So then we can enforce the configuration and the definition of a specific function towards all our nodes out there. What is cool also is that the nodes will then report back to Puppet and say, this worked fine on 5 nodes, this didn't work fine on 2 nodes, and you get all the information about what worked and what failed. When you look at Puppet creation of definition, or creation of Puppet definition, we usually create something called modules. So when we create a module, we look at different functions that we want in a module. So we look at application stacks, for instance, where we have modules like web servers, databases, app servers, and of course security built into those services. We then compose a total application stack for our different nodes, saying node 1 should be a web server and application server, node 2 should be a database server, node 3 should just be a database server, and so on and so on. So from different modules, we can create full application stacks and push them out. One thing that you can do with Puppet that has become more and more popular right now is to deploy hypervisor configurations, which is very fitting as we're at VMworld, right? So when we do this, when we use Puppet to configure our applications out there in our full environment, the Puppet node will go out and ask the Puppet master. We got nodes, we got masters. The Puppet node will go out and ask the master, okay, so I got all these bunch of facts about me. I got an IP address that ends, that has a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, or I'm in a domain purevirtual.lab or something like that. Or maybe I have 2 CPUs, I have 8 gig of RAM, I have 3 different disks configured with different partitioning. With all these facts, the Puppet master can build something called a catalog, depending on the modules and the functions that we want pushed on those nodes with that specific configuration. When we push that out to the node will take that catalog, install the applications, install the configurations, install the functions that we want the node to install. Then it will report back, and we can then put it up on a dashboard and see we have 10 web servers working fine, we have 20 database servers correctly configured, and so on. So this is a short introduction to what Puppet is, but I also wanted to show you what Razor is. And Razor is a new tool that came out this May from our good friend and colleague Nick Weaver that created this together with great folks over at Puppet Labs. So Razor is a cloud provisioning tool that you can use to deploy both operating systems and hypervisors like VMware, like OpenStack. You also can use this for physical and virtual deployments. So it's not just for virtual machines. It's definitely for physical servers as well if you want that. One really cool thing about it is that it's event-driven. It's not user-driven. What that means is that we just boot up the machine, and depending on the facts that that machine reports back to Razor, for instance, 2 CPUs, 8 gig of RAM, we will get a specific operating system installed on that. We will get it provisioned and done. Instead of having to boot up the machines, go into some management tool and say that this machine, this machine, this machine, we want those installed this way. So it's event-driven instead of user-driven. So if we combine these functions, we got Puppet for application lifecycle management, and we got Razor for cloud provisioning. It's a good fit. So I'm going to go in and do something that everyone loves, but I dread when it's live, because I'm going to do a live demo. So I'm going to show you how to work with Razor for just a short period of time here. So what we got is a bunch of facts that we can leverage when we create our policies for provisioning operating systems. So we got IP addresses, for instance. We got if it's virtual or not. We got manufacturer, if it's HP, Dell, IBM, or for here, like here, VMware. And depending on those facts, we can create something called a policy. And those policies define the information that we gather from the factor function, and then we install something on the hardware, virtual or physical. So we can see here I got a configuration that will install Ubuntu Precise if it has one CPU, 1 gig of RAM, if it's a VMware virtual machine and only has one disk. I also want to install VMware ESXi 5.1. Everyone wants to do that here, right? To do that, you need a 2 CPU and a 3 gig of RAM machine to be able to do that. So I'll show you how this works. Let's create a new virtual machine. Let's go through everything here. So 2 CPUs, 3 gig of RAM, standard config otherwise. Let's power it on and see what happens. So Razer has a built-in TFTP server for loading ISO images for installation and everything. So here we will boot up something called a microkernel that will essentially report back the facts to the Razer server. So this microkernel is a small kernel that just reports the facts, doesn't do much else. When we get that done, when it's booted up and reports all those facts, we can look at all the Razer nodes that we have. So let's see, there we go. We can see that we have a new node here. It has one disk. It's based out of with an Intel chip. It has 3 gig of RAM, 2 CPUs. It's a VMware virtual machine and has one NIC. What will happen next is that we can look at the Razer policies that we have. So we have a policy for this one, installing VMware ESX 5.1. And we can see that we have 2 bound servers with this specific configuration. So let's see what happens here in just a couple of seconds. Because Razer has all this information already collected, it knows that this virtual machine or a physical machine is good to go, and we can provision VMware ESXi 5.1 on it. So in just a couple of seconds it should reboot. There we go. It reboots and automatically gets the ISO image for an ESXi 5.1 installation and is ready to go. So just show you that it gets started. There you go. So now it's installing. So if you want to get started by yourselves and know more about Puppet and Razer, please visit my blog at purevirtual.eu. I got tags for both automation, Puppet, and Razer, and you can get how-tos there and get started very easily. Also, if you have any questions, just send me an email or send me a tweet at VirtualSuite on Twitter. Thank you very much.
That's very cool, Jonas. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate you presenting that.
Thank you very much.
All right. Take a real quick break as we transition presenters, and we'll be